Yes, everybody, Russ and the West Ham Network. Hope you're all safe and well. Happy Thursday. We are getting towards the weekend, my friends. We're getting agonisingly close to the beginning of the Premier League as well. So just over a week and a bit now, week and a half until we kick off. All looking good. All looking good, my friends. It's Hammer's Headlines in association with the KUMB.com boys. In the morning, Anthony did a show about Kieran Trippier. I spoke a little bit more about that in the Russie Rumour Roundup at lunchtime. The original Rumour rating, where we spoke about also a number of players we've been linked with all across the board, from right backs, left backs, centre backs, definitely all defenders at the moment we're being linked with, which is good because that's definitely the priority now, having sort of pretty much sorted all the other areas or as much as we can do. Don't forget tonight as well, we've got the big debates with Gatesy live on the channel. Think of it as you will as as question time, but with West Ham fans. And we've got a number of different voices. It'll be quite interesting. There's opportunity still to get your questions if you follow or on our community page or on Gates' community page or on all his Twitter and stuff. And you can get the questions you want posed to the West Ham panel. So it's always good fun, those events. But anyway, let's talk about some stuff, and let's talk about. Actually, we're not talking about any rumours. Not one rumour is going to be spoken about today. Not one rumour. Wow. When was the last time that happened, for God's sake? Anyway, let's... I just realised it was like, why isn't that white? Because I've got a box here. Totally missed it. So let's talk about the London Stadium, shall we? And naming rights. We've been there, 7 years now? Something like that, 6-7 years. And even then, the stadium's been active for, well, it was just before 2012, so 12 years, and it still hasn't got a name. It still hasn't got naming rights. It's still the London Stadium. It was the Olympic Stadium, then the London Stadium. It seems the saga is due to continue. We spoke about it, I think, a few months ago when Allianz were looking at potentially buying the rights and being called I don't know, the Allianz Stadium or whatever. Obviously, they've got a history of buying naming rights, Bayern Munich, for example. But as according to an article in the Times today, it seems we're back to square one as Twickenham have sold their naming rights apparently to Allianz, and it will be known as the Allianz Arena, according to the Times. So we've missed out on a multi-million-pound naming rights. Obviously, the way it would have worked, I think the LLDC, just the government, get the first £4 million and then it's split 50-50. I believe that was right. But yeah, we had been hoping for about £5 million a year naming rights deal. And it's not going to happen now. So Twickenham, 100 years of being the home of rugby, will now be called not Twickenham, well, it'll still be called Twickenham, but the Allianz Arena. So I'm sure it's going to upset many rugby fans. Obviously, Allianz have a long-standing relationship in rugby sponsorship as well. So West Ham and the LLDC and West Ham are back to square one when it comes to the naming rights. I remember we were linked with it was an Indian technology. Was it Marindra? And that all fell through as well. It does seem a real bane of contention in terms of trying to sell the naming rights more often than not. It's pretty ridiculous now, isn't it? We just seem to not be able to sell them at all. But we'll wait and see what happens next. As always, these things tend to go quite cyclical. And if you have a good season, I'm sure others will come in. Let's talk about some academy players, shall we? Bit of academy news and good academy news as well. Let's start with Patrick Kelly, PK. I love this man. I love this boy. good player, nice guy as well. And apparently, according to ex-Average employee, West Ham are sanctioning a loan departure for him. It's reported yesterday that the Northern Ireland Under-21 international is set for a season-long loan at Doncaster Rovers in League Two. He hasn't made the appearance for the first team yet. But he's been a regular under 21s, made 31 appearances in all competitions last season for the under 21s. 19-year-old needs to go out and gain, some first team experience, and he's going to get knocked about. That's for sure in League Two. Needs to bulk up a little bit, so I think this will be really good for him. Now it's the start of, I think, several of the academy going out on loan. And it's to get first team football. As I said, people go, we're going to blood them into the first team. But the thing is, they're going to get 10 minutes here, 20 minutes there. That's not going to help them when it comes to development. Someone like PK needs a season playing first team football in the league. And Doncaster Rovers, it's down and dirty, and I think he's going to do really well. Look at Freddie Potts with Wickham. I imagine you'll probably see something similar with Lewis Orford, potentially. Maybe Kalen as well. Maybe Marshall goes out on loan. George maybe as well. George Earthy potentially. I think it really helped. Christian Hegge's gone out on loan. That's the way, without no sort of particular European football, without no reserve team football, proper combinations league football, they're not learning. They're not developing physically. Technically, they're brilliant. As I said, Patrick Kelly, PK, he is a really good, tenacious midfielder. But he's still a young lad, really, and I think going and get some first team football will be really beneficial to him. And using our starlets, under 21 starlets, in the league pyramid, I think is going to be the only way these guys can get enough game time, enough minutes under the belt, so they can then be considered into the first team. He signed PK signed a 2.5 year deal. Was it Christmas time last year, January time last year? So obviously they see this as a part of a development plan. And it does seem that, but what we've been led to be believed, the players, the individually have a development plan in terms of where they want, and that's been created by the academy. So, which is what we need. And not just from the 21s, it says from the 18s, got some good players in the 18s who will step up to the 21s to fill in the gaps from the guys going out on loan. And then you've got the guys from 16s ready to step up as well. So the likes of from the 16s, Josh Ajala, Edges Golombekis, these guys will be moving up into the 18s and even maybe the 21s at sometimes. So hopefully that'll be confirmed soon. We know Michael Forbes has obviously gone out on loan as well to Bristol Rovers. Are they League Two as well or League One? I can't remember. So good luck to PK. Looking forward to reporting on him and reporting on a great loan spell in the season to come. Let's stay with the academy. Another academy starter has signed a new deal. Regan Clayton. He's signed a new 2-year deal with West Ham. His new deal runs out in 2026. A 19-year-old who's been at the club since 10 years old. Played every minute of the Hammers FA Youth Cup winning side campaign in the 22-23 season. He broke into the 18 squad at the age of 15 and will go on to sign scholarship terms alongside the likes of George Earthy, Caelan Casey. He then broke into the under 21s. 30 appearances, was named in the first team squad for both the FCSB Conference League ties that season, but in April he had a massive knee injury, bless him. I was there, it was awful. When you hear it, it's that a real bad scream and just didn't look good. And there was an area of uncertainty whether his future, whether that was his career gone. It was that bad in terms of his terms of the injury, but he was been fortunate enough to recover and he's getting better. And he was quoted in saying, The contract extension has given him a big boost, particularly with the injury. So, the rehab's going well. The staff are highly skilled and great people, which makes the process easier. So it's great that the club are giving him the extension. So there's not that worry, particularly when you've got a real severe injury. But he does seem to be on the path, on the mend. So hopefully we'll see him in the we'll see him in the distant future, hopefully when he recovers properly from his injury. But a nice guy, Regan, as well. I remember he was on the touchline the last couple of games of the 21s, and he was doing the cross hammers with his crutches, which is always fun to see. And lastly, we talk about we spoke about goalkeepers recently. And we've had a bit of a spate of getting rid of goalkeepers. Nathan Trott's gone, Joseph Anang's gone, Jacob Knightbridge, who I was really gutted because I thought he was really good. They've all gone. We've brought in Wes Fodringham as a third choice. Christian Hegge's gone out on loan. But one of the guys that's stood out, particularly in the US part of the pre-season, is Finn Herrick. And Julian Lopetegui has a plan for him. He puts him in high regard as well. Obviously, we played Crystal Palace twice, and that's on Saturday, didn't we, in the US? We lost the main event, so to speak, 3-1. But, however, we did play a behind closed doors sort of 60-minute game where we won 3-0, and Finn was in goal. And obviously kept a clean sheet. He's 18, represented England on 15, 16, 17s and 18s level. And the club value him really highly and clearly have a pathway for him into the first team. Having released the likes of Knightbridge, right? I think, now they sort of got rid of that middle layer. There's Heggie and then there's him going into the next phase. And obviously imagine Herrick and also Mason Terry as well. They'll be playing a lot of 21 games next season and probably swapping between 18s and 21s. But he does seem to have a big future within West Ham. And obviously, Lopetegui being a goalkeeper by trade is always good in terms of picking up. If he thinks he's got a future, that's a great sort of stamp of approval. So I imagine the way it's going to work out. Obviously, at the moment, we've got the ability now with Fodringham in, with Fabianski on a 1 year sort of extension next season. I think you may see potentially Heggie move into that number 2 slot, potentially, with Henrik being around the sort of the peripherals, that third choice maybe, or maybe Fodringham. That's the way I can see it. There seems to be sort of a pathway with the goalkeepers. That's obviously on the assumption that Areola stays at the club as well next season, which we should do. Hopefully, I'd imagine for another few seasons at least. And so hopefully we might see a young academy boy between the sticks sooner rather than later for the first team. And that's it, my friends. Thank you very, very much for your time, as per usual. Don't forget to check out neesandmotherbrand.com for latest news, reviews, and opinions. And also don't forget to check out the big debate tonight. It's going to be fun. And also keep an eye, stay on the channel afterwards, because then after we're going to do the big debate, the aftermath, and that'll be on Gates's channel. So a bit like, a review of the debate, and maybe a few of the topics they don't have time to talk about. They'll talk about in a lot more detail. So hopefully you'll enjoy that. So take care, stay safe, stay warm, stay humble, keep the faith. Come on, you bloody Irons. Irons!